Well, welcome back, friends, to another Tractor Tuesday. Today we're going to be discussing garden tractors that hit above their weight class, the little tractors that could. This is going to be an idea from a subscriber, Dino Thinker. We're going to post the question up above. Stay tuned. So we actually got some pine, believe it or not, in the firebox today. It's not that cold out, trying to burn up some of the pine. I know some of you might be thinking you can't burn pine, you're gonna have a chimney fire. I've done videos on this topic, so please go check those out. You can burn pine, and we are burning pine. Let's get into today's video. All right, so like we said, this was an idea from a subscriber. He said 10 tractors, but we ended up narrowing it down to 8 just for the sake of having a shorter, more watchable video. We don't want to get too long and drawn out. But we're going to get into 8 tractors from years past that hit above their weight class. So what are we going to start off with, Brett?
The first tractor we're going to talk about, and it's one that I actually have some experience with because my old boss owns one, is the Ford 100. And it's a little 10 horsepower tractor powered by a Kohler. It was made from the years 1966 to 1971, so 5 years. It's a very light tractor on wing, and it's 636 pounds. It has a 42-inch wheelbase and is 61 inches in length. It has a 4-speed tranny on it, so it's a typical run-of-the-mill.
I believe this is the same as the Jacobsen 100. I believe Jacobsen built Ford tractors at this time. As well as a lot of the Ford tractors. So you can find this in the Jacobsen brand.
Yeah,
colorings
Jacobsen
as well.
Chief 100. Yeah, that would be the comparative model.
So the second tractor we're going to talk about is the John Deere 210. Now these were made for quite a while, from the years 1975 until 1987. They also had a 10 horsepower Kohler. You might notice a theme with engines in this list. And it weighed 660 pounds dry, had a 46-inch wheelbase. It was 67.5 inches in length, and it had a 4-speed transmission. Now, when we say transmission and speeds, we're talking forward speeds. We're not including reverse speeds, because that could add 1 or 2 speeds to your tractor, depending on how many ranges you have. So if you think that our numbers are off, or you notice anything we do wrong in the video, please leave it in the comments below. But keep that in mind, when we say speeds, we're talking about forward speeds.
Yeah, so for instance, the Ford 100 is a 4-speed, but it actually is 4 forwards and a reverse.
So what's number 3 going to be?
A tractor that I hold near and dear to my heart, the Case/Ingersoll 220. So this was made from 1960 all the way until 1988, so it spanned...
Wow, 20 years.
20 years, yes. It also was powered by a 10 horsepower Kohler, so common theme, 10 horsepower.
Kohler was a very, very common engine for garden tractors back then.
Especially for the size. It was a pretty hefty tractor. I'd say it weighed in at 715 pounds.
Wow, so that's one of the heavier tractors on this list.
Yeah, it had a 46-inch wheelbase and a 65-inch length. But I think what made it heavier is that it had the hydraulic transmission.
Yeah, so this is a unique tractor. Most of the tractors in this list that you're going to notice have manual gear transmissions. The 220 is an exception. It had just a regular hydraulic transmission, which is not very common on garden tractors. But it's worth noting, you could get
the Ingersoll 210. Case 210.
Case Ingersoll 210.
Yeah. They made it as both.
Which is one of the only Case Ingersoll garden tractors that had a gear transmission. It's the 220 with a gear version, so hence the 210. Otherwise, it's very similar to the 220.
Yeah, other than the transmission difference and a little bit of weight shaved off because of the different transmission.
I believe the 210 had a
Armstrong
manual
lift.
Armstrong lift, so you had a big lever to lift up your implements rather than hydraulic lift like the 220 had, which makes sense because it didn't have any hydraulics
on it
to power the implement lift. So next up, we're going to talk about another classic, the Cub Cadet 100. Now this was made from the years 1963 until 1965. It also had a 10 horsepower Kohler, again common theme. It weighed 620 pounds, had a 43-inch wheelbase, 63-inch length, and it had either a 3 or a 6-speed transmission. Now we're not Cub Cadet guys, so I'm not sure about the transmissions, but that's what the research that we did showed us. So if we're wrong, like I said, please leave comments below. We're always open to learning and discussing these tractors with you guys, the viewers. Well, it's getting pretty hot down here, and it's not that cold out today. Normally, I'd say we'd have a coffee during our chats, but...
I know, it's actually hot enough. I think I'm going to take off my hoodie.
You know, I think it's time for something cold to refresh us down.
God, you didn't.
I did.
Oh my.
Now, normally, we usually go to this place and we buy Stewart's Cream Soda, because that's the brand they carry, and it's very good. But today, I actually have this Polar. This is actually nearby us. This is in Worcester, Massachusetts. According to this, it's since 1882, so that's pretty amazing. Now, if you've ever been in Massachusetts and you've driven on Interstate 290, there's the Polar factory, and you actually see there's an inflatable polar bear on the roof. It's been there since I can remember, since I was a kid. And it's pretty landmark type place in the Central Mass area. So if you ever get a chance, check out the Polar products. This isn't a plug for them. We just think they're good products and a good local company.
Yeah.
The orange cream hits your lips. It's like, oh wow.
It does.
It's really good. Refreshing. So let's keep going.
So up next we have the Wheelhorse C100. So this was only made for 2 years, from 1974 to 1975. Probably because they thought the C120 would be more popular, having 12 horsepower.
Yeah, a little bigger engine.
Yeah. But so did our 10 horsepower Kohler, so that's 5 in a row.
5 for 5. Now, we didn't plan this out. When we researched different tractors, we had an idea what tractors we wanted to do, but we didn't specifically search out Kohler power tractors. This happened to be how it came out.
Yeah. So it actually is, I believe, the lightest tractor on this, so it's only weighing 572 pounds.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the lightest, but it's definitely one of the lighter ones.
It had a 45.5-inch wheelbase and a 65-inch length, and it was mated to a 6-speed transmission.
Very interesting.
Yes.
So number 6 is going to be the Bollingers 1050. Now, these not in any particular order for a reason. Number 1 isn't the best. Number 8 isn't the worst. We just picked random slots to put them in, so they're all equal in terms of toughness in our opinion. But obviously some of you might be a Bollingers fan or a Wheelhorse fan or a Cub Cadet or John Deere. So just keep that in mind when you watch the video. Now this is what Bollingers called the tube frame tractors. They had a tubular frame. It was made in 1966 until 1969. Had a 10 horsepower Wisconsin, so the first non-Kohler power tractor that we're featuring in the list. It had a 645 pound weight, 43-inch wheelbase, 63-inch length, and it had a 6-speed transmission. So another common theme you're probably going to notice, with the exception of the case, pretty much every tractor in this list has a manual gear transmission, which was very common for smaller to mid-sized guide tractors. You really didn't start getting into hydrostatic until you got into the bigger kind of super guide tractor models.
Yes, and the only reason Casing saw an exception to that is because that was their thing with garden tractors, was hydraulic drive. So I believe the 210 was their only model to not have hydraulic drive. Correct?
I think they might have had some smaller, like, lawn tractor models.
I mean, like GTs.
But for GTs, I believe it's the only one, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to enjoy our Polar orange cream soda. While we're gone, why don't you enjoy these clips of classic garden tractors in action. See you in a minute. right, friends, so we're back. We have two more heavy-hitting but smaller garden tractors to discuss.
So the next one is another one that my old boss owned. Still owns it, I believe. And that is the Sears Custom 10 XL. So this was made from 1968 to 1972. Featured a 10 horsepower Tecumseh. So the first 5 odd coilers, the last 3, none of them have coilers, correct?
Yeah, we had the Wisconsin, Tecumseh, and we're going to get into a different one in a minute, but...
And so this had a 43-inch wheelbase with a 62-inch length. This one was actually the lightest, I believe, at 560. So this and the Wheelhorse C100 were both around 560. That was
but you're going to notice they're all in the 550 to 720-ish range. So none of them are super heavy, because a lot of the garden tractors that we've discussed
they're small.
in previous videos, even some of the super garden tractors are well over 1,000 pounds. The Simplicity Power Max, for example, is 1,300 pounds, so roughly double the weight of any of these tractors that we're discussing in today's video.
Yeah. And so then, like its bigger brother, the Suburbans, and really big brothers, the Super Suburban, so the SS14, SS15, this had a 6-speed transmission.
Now, my brother actually had one of these tractors, and I remember him telling me that it plowed absolutely incredibly. He said it plowed like a little moose.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can attest, I've used the little bit bigger Sears SS14, and I've operated other older Sears tractors, and they really are well built. They get a bad rap because of the Sears name. People kind of think of them as budget tractors, but they really are well built machines.
They're incredible.
And then you can find similar tractors in Canada with the Roper brand. It's basically the same tractor, because Roper built a lot of Sears machines.
Yeah, so if you live in Canada or really anywhere else in the world for that matter, a lot of Sears tractors actually branded as Ropers, because Roper made all the tractors and then Sears just distributed them.
So the last tractor is going to be the Simplicity Landlord 3410. Now this is another tractor that my brother actually has owned. This was made, I believe, in 72 to 73, or it could be 73 to 74. It was kind of hard to tell with the years, but it had a 3-speed transmission, and you could also get it at the 3410S, which had a 4-speed shuttle transmission. Had a 48-inch wheelbase, 67-inch length.
And it weighed around 650 pounds.
So it's one of the, I'd say, mid-range to slightly heavy as far as this list goes. I think the case is actually the heaviest at 715. And like Brett said, the Wheelhorse and the Sears Custom were the 2 lighter tractors at around 550, 560
Yeah, the Sears was
range.
560 and the C100 was, I want to say, 568 around there. So again, thank you to Dino Thinker for suggesting the video. He actually suggested 2, and we're doing one right now, so it's just a list video. But make sure that if you guys have any ideas, no matter how wild they seem, leave them in the comments. And the best ones, we will get around to making videos too.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative and entertaining. That's our goal, is to entertain and help everyone learn and reminisce on these old garden tractors. See you in the next one, friends.